about football and anything else for that matter. He is Hans Olsen from KSL Sports Zone and the analyst you've heard on BYU Radio on Cougar football this season. Hans, welcome back to the show, man.
Merry Christmas to my favorite two fellas in sports broadcasting. Absolutely love you both. Big fan. I feel famous when I come on with you, so thanks for having me.
Hey, we feel the same way, man. We appreciate it. We were just talking about this fact. Does the outcome of the Alamo Bowl, does it impact how you feel about this season? Because it feels like if BYU wins, hey, it adds to what was already awesome, and there's a lot of elements there. But if BYU loses, it was still awesome with 10 wins. So how much does it affect how you feel about the season?
For me, it changes everything. I've got a lot of apples in this basket. You finish 1-3 in your last 4 games after going 9-0. It's ridiculous. It's such a terrible ending to what was an incredible start. If you could finish 2-2 with a win over a Heisman Trophy winner, a win over Shedeur, a win over Coach Prime, a win in the Alamo Bowl, which is a great bowl, in a game that really does matter to them too, they've made that very apparent, then it makes a big difference. Do not finish this season 1-3. Please don't let that be the impact. Don't let that be the lasting memory of the 2024 BYU Cougar football season.
Yeah, Hanson, I think you bring up a great point, because we look at even back in 2008 when BYU started 6-0 and they had Max Hall and Austin Collie and Dennis Pitta and they were rolling. They stumbled in their final game and kind of stumbled to the finish, if you will, and went 10-3. I get the same impression that if BYU loses this game, it would be similar to 2008. That said, you're staring down, as you mentioned, the Heisman Trophy winner and probably the #1 quarterback to go in the upcoming draft. So who concerns you more for BYU's defense? Is it Shedeur Sanders, or is it the Heisman winner, Travis Hunter?
It's Shedeur. He's a dynamic quarterback. Obviously, when I say dynamic, he's dynamic in all passing assets, but not really dynamic in run and pass. He's not going to get out of the pocket and really try to get up the field. He's a pass-first mentality. When I say dynamic, he can hit all the different throws. He's got a quick release. He can extend pockets, but he does not like to rush, doesn't like to move and get out of there. Shedeur Sanders is the real deal. And I think there's a really good chance we see him, if not #1, in the top 3. And I'm really excited to call his game. I'm excited to see him up close and personal, because his film is really beautiful and his numbers are astounding. The records that he set at Colorado are incredible, unseating Coy Dittmer in many different records in different categories. So really, really impressed by Shedeur.
Certainly both teams rely on takeaways. BYU, one of the top intercepting teams in the country with 20, which is awesome. Meanwhile, Colorado, hey, 22 of their 23 takeaways were in their wins. They only produced 1 takeaway in a couple of those losses. So do you think takeaways, which feel like they're always big, will be even bigger in this game?
I do. I think any extra possession that you give to Colorado is going to be a nightmare. I think that they're going to be able to score more than other opponents have been able to score. BYU's defense has given up 20 points a game. They're in the top 20 in scoring defense. And my guess is you're going to give up, somewhere around 28 to 32 points to this Colorado team. So any extra possession, it could be absolutely killer to you. I was looking at a stat today, you guys, and you've got 20 interceptions and you've given up 11 passing touchdowns. You're almost 2-to-1 interception to touchdown ratio. Only one team better in this country in that ratio, and that's Texas. But BYU was #2 in the country in touchdown to interception ratio. 20 picks to just 11 passing touchdowns. It's been incredible what this defense has done.
Hans Olsen is with us on BYU Sports Nation. Okay, Hans, let's talk about some more potential winning numbers for BYU. Aside from obviously trying to take care of the ball and earn some takeaways and turning Colorado over, what else does BYU have to do, you feel, statistically, to win this game?
Well, I think that BYU better do everything they can to possess that ball and get the run game engaged. I was looking at Colorado's rushing defense. They give up 150 yards a game in the rushing defense. And I think BYU should be able to get to that 200 to 220 mark. But they've got to win the time of possession. They've got to make sure that they're extending their drives. Got to be better in your third down conversions. The third down conversions have been so bad this year. And I know that we've built this stat of combined conversions on third and fourth downs and that BYU's blah, blah, this and that. Give me a good first down yardage so that I can get a good third down conversion rate so that I can extend these drives and I don't have to put the weight on a fourth down conversion. But I'd like to see LJ Martin go over 100 yards rushing in this game. I think he's capable of doing it. I expect to see it done. And I expect BYU to be able to possess this ball. That's number one. And then number two, Spence, would be I want to see Glasgow and Kelly put the pressure on and contain Shedeur. I don't know if there is an actual stat for it. Like, I don't know if anybody actually keeps the number for it, but I would love to know the average time it takes from snap to pass for Sanders. Because I don't think there's a quarterback in the country that takes more time after snap to actually pass on the average. I know I'm getting deep into the weeds here for you guys, but you asked. So what I want to see is Jack Kelly and Isaiah Glasgow force the contain, put the pressure, and force him to pass before he wants to, because that guy loves to let routes mature and extend those passing pockets, really pressing down and shorten that number of time that he has to deliver to his receivers.
That leads me exactly to where I was going to ask you, which is the fact that Colorado throws on 64% of its plays. It loves to pass. Colorado doesn't really run the ball that much. They don't really care. They rely on Shedeur's arm. So you're saying apply pressure to speed up this process. Any other thoughts on how BYU defensively can contain this potent Colorado passing attack?
Well, I don't get overly aggressive. I'm not rushing 5 and 6 often. What I would do is I would do a lot of show blitz. So I'd have 5 or 6 walked up near the line, and then I would drop into underneath coverages, and I would rush 4. And the 4 that I rush, whether I'm rushing Glasgow, Batty, Nelson, and Banya, or vice versa, I'm rushing Kelly or keeping Kelly off the edge, I'm walking Glasgow up. I'm bringing my nickels. I'm bringing Jacob Robinson to the line, forcing him up to the edge, letting him drop back into coverages. And I'm not being overly aggressive in the amount of pressure I'm bringing, but I'm being aggressive in the looks that I give at the line. And I really want to try to press Shedeur to think that the blitz is coming, but then get back into coverages, because there's just too many receiving options. And there's too many good receivers that can win one-on-one battles, that can break hard into routes, and Shedeur is too good. He's too quick on delivery. So I'm rushing 4. I'm getting my hands in the passing lanes. I'm trying to bat balls. I'm going to run a mix of coverages. I'm going to run a ton of walk-up blitz looks that I drop back into coverage, and I'm going to see if I can confuse them out a little bit. And we know this, guys. This is not a sacking team. BYU just doesn't get sacks. But they do contain extremely well, and that's what I expect them to do against Shedeur.
Hans, we expected this to be the final game for Chase Roberts and, frankly, for Darius Lassiter and Caleb Etienne, but Chase announces he's running back for another season. And then we find out that the NCAA rules on a JUCO situation that could potentially allow Darius and Caleb to return for next season. So while we're focused on this game, yes, what do you think about what could be for BYU football next season with the for sure return of Chase Roberts and maybe some other guys with that JUCO exception?
Well, I think with Jake Retzlaff coming back and LJ Martin, and then you throw Chase Roberts into the mix, and then you've got some of these young guys that are coming up. You know, obviously you keep JoJo and you keep Parker Kingston, and I think that this offense could be really, really good. And I think that you need to make sure that you're stacking the quarterback room Jake Retzlaff making it through an entire season, as many rushing yards as he had. I mean, he led the team in rushing for the first 5 weeks, I think it was, or something. And he's your second leading rusher. So he puts himself out there. So you want to make sure you have a really good backup plan, because I do think you're a Jake Retzlaff injury away from having a season completely change. But this year they were the number 59th offense in the country, just under 400 yards a game. You bring this crew back, I'll bet you'll be in the top 30 offensively. And if you could keep your defense in the same range, right there in that top 20, I mean, they're number 18 right now, but in the top 20, then you're talking about a Big 12 championship team. And you're talking about hitting goals that you felt like you had in place through 9 weeks. You're talking about being able to hit those goals next year. So I'm very excited about the potential of this team next season.
BYU football radio analyst Hans Olsen is on BYU Sports Nation. BYU's already hit the portal hard for next year. Some notable transfers coming in from Michigan and Texas and Utah, flipping Hunter Clegg after a mission from Utah to BYU. They focused on the lines, especially the defensive line so far. What do you make of some of these transfers?
I think that it's an indicator that BYU's in the game. They're in the money game. And I think that there are probably some pretty sizable transfers that we're going to see post-bowl game. And the fact that you kept Jay Hill after what he did and his head coaching experience, it tells me that BYU's in the money game, is what it tells me, Jeremy. I think BYU's got a lot of money for their football. And I think we're just starting to scratch the surface of what you can do with that money. When you combine Kalani Sitake, the BYU legacy, and the amount of money that you have available, you can build really exciting rosters. And here's the bottom line, guys. I think BYU sees the Big 12 as a conference that is ripe for the picking. I think they see it as a conference that they can be the Oklahoma or the Texas, the lead dog, that they can be a constant winner and a bell cow to lead this conference. It takes a lot of money to do that nowadays. These early transfer portal signings tells me that they've got the money.
Hans, we can't let this interview finish without asking you about your Christmas collection, man. What was the best thing you got for Christmas aside from a trip to San Antonio to eventually watch BYU football play in the Alamo Bowl?
Man, we took a Christmas trip to Cancun, just me and my amazing wife. And it was 5 days of beaches, ancient ruins, amazing food. Great. I watched a Michael Jackson tribute band, and Michael Jackson was this like 5'4" Mexican guy. And this Mexican guy, I think he moved better than Michael. But it was awesome. They put the Michael Jackson music videos behind him, and you could see Michael doing all his moves. And this guy was mimicking Michael's moves like perfectly. And man, it was a blast. But the best thing I got from Christmas was 5 magical days with my incredible wife Amanda. She's the best thing in my life, and spending any time with her is a Christmas miracle. I don't know why she stays with me, honestly.
Many people have asked that, so I'm glad you brought it up. Hans, we appreciate the time. Have a great call on BYU Radio, and thanks for the time, man.
Hey, Spencer, keep that spot warm for me out there. I'll be out there later tonight.
I'm on it, brother.